Okay, I have a few things, but it seems like they're all just like so random. It seems like everything is like, I don't know. We'll see how it all connects. Might just be a bunch of weird random things. One thing I keep seeing is that people realizing that 3 meals a day is really bad for them. And I was somebody doing a video about that, and somebody from another country, somewhere in Africa, I think, and they did a duet or a stitch with them. And so the people were saying about we shouldn't be eating 3 times a day and stuff like that. And then it switches to her. And she said, yeah, tribes, like, we know to eat like with the sun, like about tuning into your body. You eat with how the planet, like when the sun is straight up, that's when you eat the most food. So you don't eat your big meal at the end of the day. That's why there's so many people who are so overweight here. And that's why I keep trying to talk about with the way we eat and the times and stuff like that. But she said that was the healthiest thing, is you eat and she said that they are more of a eat 1 meal a day. And that's what I have been saying too. Like, I eat stuff throughout the day, but I don't make big meals. But I usually make 1 meal a day. And so, and I always eat that around, because in the morning time, I will start drinking my tea, like eat some biscotti, maybe have some toast or something like that. And then I'll plan what I'm going to make for my meal. And then I'll make that around, it depends on how hungry I am. And I just listen to my body. So I could eat it at 11, I could eat it at 10, or I could eat it at 2. It just totally, and that's another thing she said, is you got to learn to listen to your body. And that's what I've been saying. And so I just listen to my body. And then, so when it tells me to eat, but typically, like, my more scheduled thing is to eat a bigger meal like that. And then maybe later in the afternoon, depending on what time I ate, maybe I will get hungry and I'll eat, so maybe I'll eat some more biscotti and tea, or I'll make some muffins or something. So I'll eat some kind of, or maybe I'll just eat some mince, or it just depends. It's like, I feel like that we get too structured instead of being in the moment and just listening to ourselves. And I think it's more important to be focused on yourself. And this was kind of, I have a couple things about that, because I saw footage. One of the footages I had seen before was in Ethiopia, I think, of the town square, which was like, oh my God, it just speaks to my soul. I want to be there. This morning I saw a girl, and she was going through the marketplace in Greece. And oh my gosh, it is so freaking, oh my gosh. Like, I just, that is like how I want to live, they just go down there and market. All the little farmers all have their stuff out, or people who make things and stuff like that. The whole streets are just filled with tables of people selling their stuff out in this thing. And everybody's all friendly and talking to each other and laughing and telling jokes and stuff. And that was the same thing in the Ethiopia one. That was so cool. It was so much about the socializing, and that is a community. And that is what we're lacking here. And I think even one thing is how they have so systematically tried to strip the culture from people, only blaming it on racists and racism and stuff. But they're really building that up in people, to get people to react to certain things, that gives the idea of racist. And depending on whatever is inside that person, how much that they really are, like, some of the words don't make any sense to me, but kind of electrified in that way. So it's kind of like feeds their biases. And so But anyways, it's all part of the system, how they do it. And so they take the culture out of people, like, oh, don't speak a different language here. Oh, don't, like, it's everybody's supposed to just become this generic American citizen. And so the one thing I think is so cool, like when you go to Yakima, where my daughters are, it is migrant cities. So when you go there, it's like you go into Mexico or something. It's like the whole city is almost Mexican. And so it's their culture's everywhere. And I love that. I love culture and other people's traditions and other, like, that is something that is so missing. And I noticed that when I was a kid. I was like, why do they take all the culture from people? Why is it only these people? Like, I used to ask those questions. I said, it's like we're all just mutts. And they just, they don't want us to have any connection to anything. And that's why I think it's coming back more, where you will, like for me, like my grandpa from Scotland. So the one in Ukraine, but I don't think that's going to be a safe place to go for a while. Like, who knows what's going to go down there. But in Scotland, like, I would be able to have our citizenship things are going to change. Passport, all that stuff is going to change. It's going to be a lot more of, we're all from the same planet. And I think it's going to be something more about, I don't know. We'll see. I think it would be something like your money that is owed to you from the system or whatever, is going to be going through like your country. And so you would have a connection through your birthplace, but you have connections also through your like DNA or something. And so that's going to be respected or something. Like, you're going to be able to go and have like a dual citizenship. But like I said, it's going to be where it's not going to be the same kind of thing as what we think of as citizenship now, because that's so binding. And so, like, I definitely want to go to Scotland, and maybe that is where I want to get a place. The only thing that is in the doomsday map, it's not there anymore. And so it's like, oh, I pay attention to the doomsday map. But I really want to go and travel to so many of these places. Like, I don't want to just, go find a place and then just, like there will be a lot of people who are going to go into getting a place and start building community and all that stuff. There's going to be so much of that. But I want to go out and travel around and see things and do things and stuff like that before. Like, I kind of want to do it kind of simultaneously a little bit, because I want to have like a home base. And I'm definitely not thinking, well, I let go of this as being my home base, I think pretty soon in the whole shutdown. I was like, this is not my place. These people are not my people. That is, I don't know. I think it's important to want to be around people that you're in alignment with and you have things in common with and stuff. And this place is more probably like families and stuff will be more here. Like, I don't want to be a retired person and then just like when I want to go outside and sit and enjoy the sunset, I don't want to listen to kids jumping on the trampoline, screaming and hitting each other and stuff like that. That's the only thing. That it's like you're in different places at different times. And so, at one point, they'll all want to sit out in silence, but they're not at that same stage. So anyways, I want to be but I also don't want to be closed in on top of people. Like, I want a lot more separation in where I'm at. And I want to have that, like, that culture. That is the thing, is like what I'm talking about, is where, people gather and have like respect for one another and go out into the center of town and, sell things and talk to each other, and, communities building up, social events and stuff like that, like a real small town community where people feel connected and appreciated. And, you know, that is, but it is, everybody's going to be building it for themselves. But there will be a lot of other people, you know, that are still going to be out traveling and not know where they want to for sure go. And there's going to be so many places that keep opening up, I think. And I just saw, I guess, when the code break, there's a lot of codes being broken right now. But one of the things is I guess maybe Flynn might be on the bad side. Like, I don't know. It seems like I don't know. We'll just have to see, you know. There's going to be so much, like, there's no reason to sit and argue or stress or wonder about some of this stuff, because it's going to be, what matters will be revealed, you know, and some stuff that doesn't, you know. But I think that a lot of, we're going to find out a lot of who these bad people are. And I think, I don't know if I already said that before about the blue check mark on Twitter. And these people, you know, a lot of people are making a thing about it. But I think that they, you know, they can't verify people who are no longer with us. And so is that going to be kind of the showing, you know, well, we can't find Hillary. We can't find, you know, like, I don't know how they verify accounts. And I don't know what, I mean, they're going to make it like look like, oh, well, you know, they're not going to pay to have their check mark or something. And I think Elon is doing it just as, like, I mean, it's so ridiculous that, you know, blue check marks were going to be the ones who are influencing people. So now, you know, it's just, to me, it's all showing just the absurdity of all things. And I guess he launched a rocket the other day. Yeah, it seems that he put there was an old tweet that he did where he said the earth is flat and we can't get out of the firmament or something. Like, he already has said. And so then he launched this rocket the other day, and people were looking at the rocket and saying, it looks more like an arrow. It did look like it meant to bust through something. And so people watched it too, and they were like, it hit something for sure. And so he has said something else about that. But see, this is all the absurdity to keep trying to, like, get people to see, like, when you are paying attention to what's going on, like, the world isn't what you think it is, you know. And all that stuff keeps coming out. Who was another person? It was another person who a lot of more liberal people listen to, who said something to the other day that really threw, I think, a wrench in the narrative. But that is what it's going to take, is more of the people who are thought of as being liberal and progressive to start speaking out on some of the absurdity, you know. And it is, and it all is, it's such a, like, very fine kind of, it's not like you can come at them. It's like, it has to be so subtle. It's like their brain has to feel it and go out and kind of go over it. And so that they can understand it. So everything has to be subtle, because if you come in too hard and too strong, then right away the ego goes defense mode. So it has to be something where they think they've come up with it on their own or something. But, you know, more and more of the people are just going to have to keep speaking out. Like, I think that it's so cool, these trans people speaking out, because there's a huge community that is the only people they're going to listen to. They're not going to listen to other people who aren't trans. And so the people who are speaking logic in that community, it helps the other ones so much to be able to start thinking rationally and start questioning things for themselves. So I think that is just really, really cool. And one thing though, today, I was in the bathroom and I was doing my hair, and I tried to, yesterday I curled it and I didn't wash it, and the curls were falling out so fast. So then today I was like, well, I'm going to wash it and then curl it and see how fast the curls fall out. But my hair is heavy, so they don't stay in very long. They do start coming out really quick. But so I'm standing there doing all this stuff with my hair, and I'm always trying to, you know, pull my spine straight, and I'm trying to, you know, it's like a process. It's like you go in and you go inside and you start communicating and you start saying what you want. You start doing like envision and stuff like that. Like it's a whole thing that when you're trying to heal something inside of you. Like for me, I've been working on this straightening my spine since I think since 2015 or 2016. When I started doing the yoga and stuff. And so I pull myself into center and really work on the core muscles and stuff and all those kinds of things. So this morning I was in the mirror, and I do this all the time, and I always notice that I have this one hip shifted out. And as I noticed it when there was pictures taken, like there was pictures taken when I opened that business with my ex years and years ago. And when we were standing there with this group of people, and I saw like, man, why am I shifting my hip out like that? That's so weird. And that was the first time that I noticed it. But no, because there was another picture that I noticed it in. That was the second one, because there was a picture I was standing there, I think, with my mom and my daughter. And we were standing in this picture, you know, and I had that hip shifted out. And so I thought, well, do I do that just because I'm tall and I'm trying to get down? But in the one picture, I was with all really tall people. In the business one, like those one girl was like 6 foot tall, a guy was like 6. So I know I wasn't trying to like. So maybe that is why it really stood out to me. My hair just getting straighter and straighter as I speak. But anyways, so that hip shifting out. And so I've noticed that a lot over the last year as I've been really purposefully trying to stay focused and doing all of these stretches and balances and stuff like that. And so, and that one time, it was months ago, and I had talked about that they had showed me this person, and it was like I was like questioning like about my hip. Why does it keep shifting out like that? And all of a sudden this girl came to my head, and she was so happy and so beautiful. And I just have appreciation for her, and I don't really know what the story is with her. And so what they showed me was this hip that I would shift out to carry, I think it was a big basket of water or something. But so this hip shifts out, so because I was carrying something. And so these are the things like you have from past lives. So you have these you have things that represent all of you in this life. And so even if it is you know, like that, like my hip shifted out, so there's something in that experience, that life, or something that I hadn't healed, and then that is still shifted out. So that is what I was sitting there talking to them about. And I had asked them before to show me what it was, and they showed me that girl. And then there was no, you know, it wasn't like she was injured or something. It was like she had done it, but she'd done it through hard work and loving and stuff. So I'm not really sure what in this leg will even start hurting, but I'm not really sure. But so I keep trying to release and ask, like, what is it, you know, that I'm holding on to from this girl? And they told me that, well, you know, it will be shown to me. It will work itself. Like, I'll see, you know, I'll understand when the lesson comes around, and you know, that will help me. But see, it's the awareness of that can help me to heal or cure the problem that I have. And it has something, and to me it has so much to do with like this concept of me really trying to bring myself into balance, and to have a crooked spine while you're trying to pull yourself into balance. And then when they had cut me in 1 year, they cut the top of my torso across and the bottom of my torso across. So they damaged all of my muscles in there too. And so those things that I have been, trying to focus my body on healing, and, they all carry different energies and stuff. And so the one with my hip shifted out, I have to keep pulling it back in. And the only thing I really understand about it right now is it was like a comforting thing. Like, I mean, probably like if you were to go to that tribe and see the people, probably the girls who had that hip problem thing were probably more respected because they traveled miles to go bring in these water to their village or something. Like, it would, that's the kind of energy it gives me, is this loving, respectful, like, kind of is really good. And so it's not something where I feel like, I did something bad and I'm being punished for it. It was like something good, but it was like a kind of made a deformity, but it wasn't a deformity that would be something you would be ashamed of, but it is something, I don't know, there's something in it that I'm healing in this life, is all I know. But those are the kinds of things where you start recognizing. But if you can't think outside the box, then see, it keeps you limited. And so you don't really recognize all of the things that you could be healing and where they come from and stuff. Because, I mean, that's the limitations when you don't realize that you have a lot of lives and that they all are connected through you, the DNA, the observer keeps coming really loud in my head, because you are observing yourself. So the observer self is, or the projection is, all the things that you are from all these lives. You're projecting out. Remember how I said that, how they showed me, it was like, I've seen this stuff in movies, but it is like, it's kind of like if you take one of those bubble blower things, like a really big one, where you'll see those people get that huge bubble and they'll put that big bubble up there, and that big bubble is going out there. So if you think of that bubble as being your soul, and then if you think of that bubble all of a sudden representing itself, like it's up there and it's thinking and it's moving and feeling and communicating with the other bubbles and stuff, and then it wants to experience and see itself, it pushes out, so everything that it is comes out with it. So all your lives and everything are part of you. It isn't just that you are this one thing. That's so limiting to think of that as being that's all you are. But, that is, it's also a development stage. What was it I just saw too about a development thing? Like, there is a lot of stuff with the CPS stuff coming up. And our girl, she, she's in Oklahoma now. And I think the dad is still in the hospital. I think the stepmom is in the hospital. So I think it ended up being all these kids, teenagers, in this little apartment. And there started being complaints or something. And then they got the police. Now she thinks that the police are out to get them. I was like, yeah, police, like, you guys are the perfect, take you down there to the a bunch of CPS kids. Hell yeah. I'm like, hell yeah, we scored here. And see, the CPS kids are going to be getting something back, because they are like the lost boys, man. They're like these kids that are just out there trying to survive. They were ripped out of their homes and government taken over, and they're just discarded. And the way that they just are so toxic here, man. Like, take people's kids away from them so you can create more addiction. And some of these kids, like, this was a fucking, this one woman, I don't even know her story. I have no idea. I only saw this clip. But she had sold her child. And I don't know if she thought she was doing something good for the kid or whatever. I don't know what all she was involved in. There's so many people, whistleblowers and shit, that were so, like, there's so much of this. This isn't like one or two. This is like, became our world. And so she had a 2-year-old or something and sold him. And then somehow she was at this place, and it seemed like it was a long while later. And because she thought her kid got sold to some family, and she was happy that her kid was out of this lifestyle, I guess. And so she was at this place, and they're making him go through all of these bodies, and they're going through them, and there was hers. Hers was there. 2 kidneys gone. And yeah, it's what I don't understand. How many fucking kidneys do people fucking need? How can there be this many motherfuckers who need goddamn kidneys all the time? There's got to be. Oh, fuck. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, that's sick. Oh man, that's sick. It was part of the food thing. Because of that just makes me sick. Fuck. So, it's something you can look up about the, I can't think of the name of the food company place, but they go, like at the mall, when they come up to you, here, taste this and this and this. And they're doing these taste things for these big companies, trying to find out, like, what taste people like more. And so, or flavoring, is the flavoring. And so the company that does that, and I keep seeing an L and an E really big, but I'm not sure. I can't remember the name of it, but I've seen the paperwork and stuff about this. So they were trying to figure out what would be, they do all this in labs and stuff. What is the thing that is so addictive to us? What is the flavor, like, that we taste? And I talked about this a while ago. Anybody who's been following me would know, would remember this probably, because they did the flavor thing, and that they found that kidney cells were what we would become addicted to the flavor or something. And so they, the PP, the planned place, that they are, they gave a lot, but because a lot of this stuff is abandoned babies that aren't alive. A lot of them, the cells came from that. Like, that was something that they had said when they had found this out. Like, there was these words, a baby in the food. And so then, anyways, and I was just doing that, and I was just saying, like, why all of the kidneys? Like, how fucking many people? Like, I cannot believe this fucking shit with the kidneys. And then it's the food. It's like they're putting it in the food. Like, I don't know if they are really just going around and just, oh man, it's so fucking. And then you think about that too, like a food company. That is the no morals. Like, if you need to have your stuff be bought, and you need everybody like it, like Lay's chips. I don't know, this burping thing again. It's not as bad as it was the other day, but that black seed oil, and I guess you can make it yourself. Like, I've seen so many videos. It's black cumin seeds, and you want to make sure you get, like, on the stuff I got, it's 100% and fret, and the ingredients, it's just the black seed oil stuff. There's nothing else added to it. And so when you get it, though, you want to just get the seeds in the virgin cold pressed olive oil and stuff, like, and you can make your own to, just like how I made the oregano. You can make the oregano, rosemary, all of these different things. You can make you either add like a really strong alcohol. Like you could get Everclear or really strong cheap vodka or whatever. So you can add that stuff to these different herbs and then let that sit for a long time and make like an elixir, or you can make it with the oil. And then you make it this intense oil mixture. And so I'm giving the black seed oil and the oh, I forgot to give her the borax this morning. I will though as soon as she gets back up. I'm just gonna put it in the yogurt again. But and those days of fasting, though, she had some really big those lump things, the lipoma things on her. She had some really big ones. That was the one that ruptured on her leg the other day that got so big, because they'll get so big like cellulitis, and then this one will rupture, so they'll get infected or something in the front paws. And so those big things, and I knew it was toxins and stuff like that. And I can see like when she'll get like a breakout or something. But I didn't even think about the fasting. When I saw that guy saying that, at the same day, I'm sitting here like worrying, like, okay, it's day 2 and she hasn't eaten. And then hearing that guy say that he'll fast for a few days and that it'll make those things go away. And so now seeing that hers are going away, see, the natural thing, her natural way that her body was like, didn't want to eat. And then I'll push. But now I know not to give her those treats, as I think the treats have probably got some kind of, even if they say they're chicken and liver and duck on a stick or whatever the hell, there's still stuff that they add into this stuff. And so those could be adding in with the other toxins in our environment. And so anyways, I'm going to listen to her more when she needs to fast, and just let her fast and not be trying to push her to eat or whatever. Like, I'll give her yogurt or something like that. Well, I'm going to keep doing the yogurt because I'm going to keep doing this borax. I'm so excited about that. And excited to see how it goes for the other person too, to see how it goes. So, we'll be the ones, supposedly it's 10 days that you see a huge difference. And if you stop, it will go back. So it's like you have to continue. The doctor who was using it, and you can look up about it. I don't remember the doctor's name or whatever. It was another doctor who was reading the story about where it came from. And so it was a doctor who was using it. And now I don't remember how he figured out about the boron. Like, there's a whole reason why he started using it. And then he was putting it in some sort of pills or tablets or something. And the first year it was like 500 sold or something. And the next year, 2,000 sold. Like, everybody was like loving it. It was working so good. It was just spreading. And that is when, Rockefellers come in and say, well, we want to know about this. And then as soon as they find out they couldn't patent it, that's when they turned it into, give it a big old skull and crossbones and call it poison. And, that's what they're doing. That's what they've done with all of these holistic things. And, I just saw a whole thing too about the pine needles and how they're so good for you. So I think it's I thought of it this morning as Bordak root or something like that. And I got nettles. But the pine, because I was thinking about getting some pine needles, because the pine needle tea is really good too. And then I saw this video this girl was sharing, and she was talking about the pine and all of the good things about the pine. So it's all these seeds and saps and stuff that are all good for us. And so the pine one, I think, and it's really good for your pineal gland too. And so I said to her, but now I'm thinking the turpentine must be the elixir of the pine needles. And so, because turpentine, it tastes like pine salt. Like, it's so, oh man, it is so strong. But I'm just wondering if you used it just as like a squirt a day, not take it as a cleanse. And you got the other benefits, because all these things have huge amount of benefits. Like if we were doing all of this stuff, nobody would be sick. We would all be healthy. It's we got to detox all these chemicals. In this thing too, like this is freaky. Like I don't get, because today's the 23rd, and I mean I totally don't get, because of the you can't trust information. And you have like this group that is saying that there's all these scientists, they met yesterday, and they're coming up with all these solutions, and today they're going to take over the airwaves to tell us these solutions, but you have to want to listen or something. So I don't know if they're going to just be out there talking, but you have to turn them on or something. Like, I'm not sure, but they're making that like a really big deal. But then there's this other thing where these people in England are all getting that they're going to be alerted. And so I don't even know, like it could be 3 o'clock there. I got to look at my clock thing. But so at 3 o'clock, they're going to get this mass alert. And I don't know, because I had seen these other videos saying that it's going to be a global alert. But in England, they're saying it's going to be their government sent them a thing that said they're going to have this checking the emergency alert system. So they're going to blast everybody at once. And the people who are there, who are aware, are saying this is not good. They're going to blast us all at once. It's a frequency. And they're going to blast us, and there's going to be a lot of people are going to have a heart attack and stuff. And they're saying, turn off your phones, because it's going to add to the blast of everybody's phone if they're doing that. And there's people saying this is another check to see how compliant, how much do you do what your government tells you. So I don't know, is that then the government coming in because they don't want these scientists to be out here telling us, the global warming isn't real or something? Like, I don't know. I mean, there's so much, a scientist that has morals, there's like so fucking much. And they did have to all come together, because before, when they stood alone, they just get killed, so they had to group together. And, everybody has to unite. Like you have to, in all of this stuff, all of the battles going on, you should be able to recognize when somebody's head peaks up that is in your, in alignment with you, so that you can find your tribe, you can find your people. And, because this is all going to be kind of like way in the very beginning when they were showing me all this stuff that was going to be happening. One of the things that they were showing me was, I talked about this before too, was it was like this game or something that they show on me. It's like a board. It has all these different marbles, but when you tip it, all the marbles go to the same color as the marbles. Like every slot just fills up with a certain color of marbles. And so they kept showing me that it was like this vibration frequency that draws people into their tribe, draws people into finding their people. And that's why once the communities and stuff stop being built off of just being desperation, like there's going to be like a ton of homeless people. And, and maybe that is what they're going to all find, what they had in common of like, and that's going to build a whole community on bonding on what they lost and stuff, And then once they heal that, they'll be ready to go out into other ones, it's going to be all different. But, there is this thing about you gravitating towards people who are in alignment with you. And that's why everything has to be seen and shown. Because like people were in groups where, they think that they're their, ride or die, and that they don't even have anything that is in common other than the fact that it's one thing, one thing we agree on and everything else we don't agree on. And that is what people have to see, like groups and stuff. You're in groups built on, a cause, or, and all of those causes and stuff have been so manipulated by the government. Like, and the stuff in Florida, man, it just gets crazier and crazier. But now all these people are freaking out because they're saying that you can be put to death. Anything with a 12-year-old, they can take your kid out of your house. And that is, like, I'm telling you, is to show the overreach of the guy. It's got to be this outrageous. So people are just outraged and, oh, I can't believe it. But, and at the same time, the WEF or HO or whoever the fuck these, Klaus is in there saying like, oh no, 12-year-olds, they can give consent to an adult. What are you kidding me? So we're going to change that up. And so, we've got him saying you mess with a 12-year-old, it's death. And, that's the group saying 12-year-olds can make decisions for themselves. And then you have also in that whole mix, the executive orders that Trump wrote. And I don't know that it says anything about age in there. Like, and that was the whole thing with RBG too. Like, she was the one who was in there and kept lowering the age form and stuff. Like, all these people who thought she was so good and progressive, she was really, a sellout to the evil people. And it isn't, and it's hard to even just say a sellout, because that sounds like so judgy, because a lot of them had things that were held over them. And, like, we'll kill your kids. You do what we say or we'll kill your kids. And then you're going to be like, well, what the hell? I mean, I'd rather have my kids be alive than, if they want the 12-year-olds to have rights, then, so, it's not like we can just sit and judge people because we don't know the path that led them to where they ended up. And so many are used like as puppets. And, and it's all used. Fear is the whole tactic to control people. And so, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like judgy a lot of times, but I don't know. I don't feel like I judge them like, like you're going to hell, you're a bad person. It's like, but to recognize the roles, to see what is before you. But it doesn't necessarily mean like, they're a bad person and they're going to hell and all that stuff, because I don't believe any of that stuff. I believe we're all here just playing roles all the time. And people come up with these storylines for themselves. Like, nothing just happens by accident. And there's so much talk all the time about timelines and about manifesting. And man, I have very, I don't know. All I know is, once it gets to the other side, once I see what it was that was coming towards me, and how in alignment it is with what they tell me is coming towards me, as I'm free falling into the earth. And one thing too is you got to recognize that there's beings around you that are feeding off of you. But I think it's part of the game. I think it's part of the game, because this morning there was another thing that was shown to me. And so it's kind of like when you're in a video game and there's different things that can like man, this is hard to explain, especially because I don't play video games, but I can see it and I can understand it. I just don't know how to explain it. But it is like in the game, they're kind of like an interference or something, and like they get points, but their points is to get a little quick suck of your energy as you put it out of your frustration or your anger or whatever. So if they can do something to irritate you, they get a little charge out of it. But it's part of the game. It's part of the, like, how often are you going to let them suck your energy? And, when you got to keep your energy for you, but you have to recognize that there's these beings around you, and they'll sit and talk shit to you too. And that is something that's really important for people to start realizing, especially when they all get also consumed with being, what is that called? When you need an exorcism, and because they all think like the spirit gets inside of them, but they're in your head. They're in there talking. It's not like you're sharing your space. You're sharing this space. And so they're in there talking, And you just think it's part of your thoughts. And so then if it's really shitty, then you start thinking that it's part of you and you're just really shitty. And you're a shitty person. And I can't believe I think that. I can't believe I see that. I can't believe, and so you start taking it on as you instead of realizing like, let's get the fuck out of here with your shit talk. And that's what you got to see is when someone's in there just talking nonsense and shit, you got to hear it. You got to realize it. And then you got to acknowledge it and tell them, get the fuck out. Take your shit and go, girl. And so, because they did that a little while ago, and then they go over and hit the trash can or something, and it makes a noise. So then it gives you that little jolt, and you look over there, and it's like, oh, you fucker. So that's what I'm saying. They'll give you these little jolts so they can get that energy real quick. So even when you're not listening to them, they may stomp off so they can get a little jolt. But you got to recognize, and and that's where these people they're listening to so much dark energy, so many negative spirits, and it is like I've said this before too, but it is like the energy spirits that do this. They are just like this free energy. They're like a they're like a blob of anger, a blob of deceit, a blob of anxiety. Like they're just like a blob of that. They aren't a defined being like you or I or something, where we are conscious of itself, and depending on your degree of understanding how conscious you are in the experience. And so these beings, that they are around you, but they're not birthed into you. Like they are, like, it's how much a person allows them in, is how much space do you give them. And I just think it's really important for people to just recognize, like, when the negative talk, when you're hearing that isn't just your brain is just like doing that, but it will start doing that, and they can provoke that. They can provoke those records to start playing, where you just start being like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm so stupid. I can't believe I just did that. I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? God, I can't stand myself. I hate myself. Like that kind of stuff. That's what they want you to do. And that is where you got to be like, okay, wait a minute. What am I doing here? I am talking shit to myself. So somebody is talking shit to me, and I'm just fucking sitting there just telling it. And you got to catch yourself and be like, no, I'm going to sit there and say that. I don't feel that way. And as soon as you hear it, you got to start, patting yourself on the back for recognizing that you can catch it and you can hear them talking shit to you. And you need to start talking yourself up. It's important to talk yourself up and to be giving yourself positive energy. Especially, when there's so much toxicity around. And there is, like, one thing too is what people are saying too. When this signal goes off, like, there's a whole thing about, okay, so the signal's going to go, then we're going to have no power. And people are saying, close all your curtains, go hide somewhere in your house where there's no windows. Like all of these people, and then these people who have these prophetic dreams, like there's going to be all of these things coming out of the sky to come and get people or something, like all these grim reapers or something coming to get people. Anything that happens is supposed to happen. So it's not like you could sit right here and, if you're not supposed to go, they're not going to come and mess with you. You could go sit out in your front yard and watch the action if that was to occur. Because they're not going to take somebody who's not supposed to go. And there's something else that was coming into my head when I was seeing that. Was, the planes here. Oh my gosh. I can't believe this sound when it sounds like it's crashing. Yesterday there was one and it was doing it, it had two sounds. It had one sound where it sounded like it was crashing, and then it had another sound. And I was like, okay, so this is something with the atmosphere. And I know where I'm located, there's something weird about where I'm at. I know. I just know. And so I don't know what it is going to be, but I mean, there's a reason why I saw the fake sun, a year before a lot of other people. And so, and a lot of this stuff, that I was talking about that we were already having, like, it feels like, I don't know, like the dome is closer here where I'm at or something. Like, I swear, I don't know if there's going to be like a plane crash into a house, or if it just is like these weird sounds. Like, I don't know. It's creepy as shit, though, I'll tell you that. There's so much weird sounds out here in the forest, in the sky. Like, all of it is just, oh man, it's so creepy. There was another thing too that was coming into my head when I was saying about that. What was it? There's so many things. Like, I really feel like this, it feels kind of like, when you have shaken up a soda and then you open it like a 2-liter and it's been dropped or something and it just goes like shooting. That's what it feels like the energy is right now. It's just like shooting out. And people are... It's just so crazy too, though, when you see people hear things and they think they just figured this stuff out. It's like, dang, I figured this stuff out a few years ago. But that is, that's how the awakening goes. It feels so, like you just come out of something. All of a sudden you just realize something. And it is, and it's just the beginning. Once you do, it's just the beginning of having to do all your healing and all of the growth that comes in this stage of development for the consciousness. Like I said, healing past lives and, understanding that you are so much more than what they have told you, and all of the stuff that you carry in your DNA and in your pain and stuff like that, that you can heal that stuff and you can become better, you can feel lighter, you can feel, it just, to me, it feels like before, like the old Kelly, that she, man, it felt like there was burdens. Like, it just felt more burdened or something. Things felt more hard. Everything felt so heavy and stuff. And now it just doesn't feel like that. Even if it's redundant, Groundhog Day, and stuff like that. When bad things happen, it just doesn't have the same impact. It's like, oh, well, this happened or that happened. Now, it is like a detachment from the 3D strain of life, that keeps you burdened and held back. And so, keeps you from being able to enjoy. And then plus the way they've stripped so much of that away from people. Now as well, I really want to get back and going, because the culture in places and stuff speaks to my soul. It speaks to anybody's soul, because you've lived in other places and been a part of other cultures and stuff. Like, that is inside of your DNA. And so, the things that speak to your soul is because it's inside of you. These connections and to places, people, all of it. And so, I think it is really exciting to get to this point of, what was it? Yeah, because I was talking about with the CPS kids. I think that there is going to be a lot that is going to be given back to a lot of these kids for helping them get started. Kind of like, not like a rehab, maybe like a big commune or something, a place where they can all go and learn and develop together and grow. And then as they become independent, because this world has been really hard on them, you know, and they didn't get to really be kids. And so, like, right now, like, our girl, you know, she's got her own little, you know, gang of friends or something, and society would look down on them. But really, you know, it's like these kids have to join in together. You know, their families are all broken, and you know that is a part of the problem in society, where we have broken people out there having families, and people who are not healthy, and you know, all of this stuff is all stuff that we can change. That's the beautiful part of it. Everything is something that we can change. We can change how we treat each other. We can change what we expect from each other. We can reprioritize what's important. And, you know, I do think, you know, I hope that she doesn't get herself into trouble. But that is the thing, is you got to respect those souls for however they want to learn. You can't helicopter somebody. You can't just be over them. Now, I had a big talk with my daughter yesterday because she, you know, she wants my daughter to pay for her and her friends to have a hotel room for 3 months. And they'll all pay her back. You know, all these teenagers, we'll pay you back. We just need a hotel room for 3 months. Can you imagine? There's no hotel that's going to let them even stay probably 2 nights. But, so, you know, my daughter gets all like, you know, what should I do? What should I do? And I'm like, I mean, that's not even feasible, for one thing. But you have to let people figure out how to save themselves. Like, that's where they build the resilience and believing in themselves. And when you feel like you have to zoom in and rescue them, that's your ego. Your ego is telling you. And so your battle is to reflect on, why do you feel like you need to save other people? Why can't you just allow them? And, you know, it's a big strain to watch people struggle. You know, you want to go in and fix it. You want to go in and help them, but you're not doing the person any favors. You're making them be more dependent. And they're not seeing their own independence, their own creativity, their own abilities. Instead, they think like you can fix things for them. So you set up this toxic role play. And that is things like those kinds of role plays are the things that you got to break free from. And they're uncomfortable, because then you got to, you know, go to a place where you're not comfortable, because then you got to sit back and, you know, in some cases watch people fall on their face. But they have to, the whole thing is that as a soul, you fall on your face so you can learn to pick yourself up. You got to keep on learning how to pick yourself up. And that is how you learn more about yourself. You know, if you just fall down the first thing, you know, and it's just like, you know, oh, that one thing took me out. I couldn't handle life after that. You know, because you got to think of it on the game sense. You know, you're challenging yourself. You're not here just to sit back and, you know, I don't know, eat steak and sit in the sun all day and just do nothing. Like, you're here. I mean, there's some souls that are here to do that. And it's something called a vacation life. It's like when you've had you've come out of a really extreme incarnation, that a lot of people will go into a really simple one next, where they just do nothing. Dolores Cannon was talking about, you'll meet people like that in life, where it just seems like nothing goes on with them, nothing happens, they're just content to sit and do nothing. And you know, she said that's like a recovery life. That's like, it was so hard that they just need to go in and just like have a relaxed life and just no challenges. And so, you know, I don't know, it makes sense to me, because most people are living challenge after challenge after challenge, to the point where they feel beat down. But it's because of the whole world, how they've told you about it. Once you understand the truth, then you see that this is your soul going through these challenges, because it's here to learn and grow. And that everything, I mean, there's so many challenges that are manipulated and done to us on purpose. So, that makes it 10 times more challenging. And then you have the beings around you that you can't see, who are trying to trip you all along the way. And so, it's a complicated game. It's complex. And so, but that's the thing, is when you start really understanding what life's all about, it changes it that dramatically. It's not just, that you aren't good enough, and you aren't good enough to accomplish the things that you think you need to accomplish. That's all a structure. That's a paradigm. Boy, she's just plowing through. She just, anyways, I probably need to go and do her. I've been talking for a while anyways, but anyways, if you can see what I'm saying, the more you can pull yourself into the game as a game and relieve some of the stuff, and the more you can recognize the challenges are what helps people heal and grow so that they can learn themselves. And yeah, they may get themselves into some problems and some struggles, but it's for them to learn to get themselves out of. It's not because of anything that someone has done or didn't do. It's not like you don't affect. The only effect you have is when you're enabling, when you're trying to continually rescue somebody every time that they fall on their face. You gotta let them fall on their face, pick themselves up, and rethink how they're gonna come at things. And even though it's hard to watch, that is doing a soul a favor. That is what, the whole thing with letting kids be kids, and, that's what one of the problems is with the system kids, the CPS kids, is because they didn't get that natural progression. And they were, had judges and counselors and social workers and everybody up their ass from the time they were little, telling them what they need to do. And, oh, it's not your fault you were born to this horribleness, So, yeah, you think a kid's not going to feel like they are that horribleness? It's inside of them. So we need to change the conversations. It's not horribleness. It is you were born to somebody who has got some addiction problems, have got mental health problems. This world has done a lot of really toxic creating in people's lives. And so to recognize it doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with them. It means that they are diseased. They're broken. They just need to heal. And so when we start really recognizing that, and then for people to start recognizing their role, yeah, you could have a broken parent, but what is your role? Is it to just pull free? I mean, in some cases, if it's dangerous, you're going to have to pull free. If you're in danger, that's for you to recognize and see. And, and there's so many different ways to save yourself. And I'm not talking about, a 4-year-old or something. I mean, there has been cases where we had needed people to go in and rescue kids. Like, there's no doubt about that. But there is no, but the system, that's where we got to get back to community and village. It takes a village to raise, like you go into some of these smaller villages, they would be there for the kid. They would be there even if the parent wasn't. If the parent's struggling, and the parents would not have judgment towards the struggling person, because they would recognize, like, maybe the spouse died or something, whatever the person went through, that when they are in a crisis, that the other people aren't going to judge them. They're going to recognize, like, here we can help them out. They need to heal and process what they're going through. And there's so many people, and people don't really realize, I don't think, is they get so down on their parents. Like the one girl who, she was going to come over and all this stuff. And she's doing tons of videos all the time. And I don't know, she's talking about her mental health, but then she keeps talking about, she's an Anunnaki princess and stuff. I think pretty soon we're going to have an Anunnaki princess battle zone. There's a lot of them out there. But I just think, like, if you're trying to convince people that you are over your mental illness and stuff like that, and then sitting there saying you're an Anunnaki princess at the same time, you're probably not getting the audience that you want. So sometimes you got to just not, push what you think of some of this stuff. Like, why that doesn't need to be on the forefront of it. But when, for the people who are, because she's telling more of her story. Like, I'm not even sure, what her whole situation is. I know there's a lot of bad situations with people, especially kids who grew up with addicted parents that, they grew up in very chaotic houses, and yeah, parents sold kids for drugs and shit. Like, a lot of bad stuff. And, a lot of people are going to grow up and have really hard feelings and are going to need to get away from those people to go and heal. And I just know on a soul level that the people who do the damage, that they're also a soul that's trying to heal. And that the reason why kids and why we're birthed into one another's families is to help one another. And so when you, as the child, comes in and you realize, like, oh, this is, I'm learning, I'm growing, and going in and setting boundaries with your parent, helping them to learn how to be a better person by you leading by example, not going in and fighting and arguing and drama and chaos like how it typically has been in most families when there was some kind of an argument, but instead to just let it go, to know, like, it doesn't matter. They've got something wrong. They're going to say weird things. They're going to look at things weird because they've got distorted vision. But the more that you go in as the healed person or in the process of healing, and you're putting that energy out, that energy that you are carrying around, this free energy of love, is going to attach to them. Even if it's a battle with the dark energy inside their head, then they still have the light energy. And then when you set boundaries and you don't play games and you don't do the same patterns, then you're teaching them by example. So it's not like you have to go in, well, I learned this and I read this book and I know how to be a better person than you. Like, you don't approach it like that. You just start being a better person. You stop playing the games. And, you don't have to go have Sunday dinner every day with your mother. But I think that there needs to be a respect in there. In most cases, I'm not going to say in all cases, because there's extreme in everything. But in most cases, because it is kind of a generalized view right now, is all parents are toxic, all old people are toxic. Fuck all the old people, fuck your parents. And so they have all these kids thinking that that's the best way, that, that you're going to become your best self if you blow all these people off, when that is not true. You're boxing yourself in. You're keeping away from people who can help you grow. So it's like the opposite you need to do. You need to be around people who trigger you, and and then not get all upset at somebody. Like, somebody says something and triggers you, you don't have to overreact. I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you said that. You just take it in personally. You think, like, man, I'm really feeling something about this. Like, I need to sit with this and try and understand why I feel this way. And that is where meditation and time alone and in communication helps, because that's when you can say, like, why was I so triggered? Why did this bother me so much? What do I need to heal? What am I holding on to? Why am I so upset about this? And then work on releasing those things. And then pretty soon you're going to see, when you're going around these people that you consider so toxic, you're going to all of a sudden just see it was the dynamic. It was the behaviors. It was the pushing each other's buttons that was toxic. Once one person becomes healed, the relationship can't be toxic anymore, because that person has nobody to play the games with. And so it keeps pushing them into having to heal. And so anyways, that's how I think it works. I think we're in this big time of transition. I think that people are going to be spreading out, moving out, learning, developing, creating, becoming better versions of themselves. And then on that journey, you're going to fall down. You're going to get hurt. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do stupid shit. That's part of the journey. And that is the things that you need to learn to accept in yourself and love yourself. And when you can do that for yourself and you can recognize, like, oh, I guess they're not so stupid because I'm stupid too. We're all stupid. I guess they're not such a failure because we're all failures. Like, it's what we think. And we put all this pressure on one another. We put all this pressure on people. Make sure you're perfect. Make sure you don't cause me any problems. That's not we want it ourselves to develop. We don't want the world to just bend over backwards so we don't ever have to feel anything. We want to feel, we want to grow. And so it's a different way of coming at things. It's a different way of looking at things. And so I think it's going to become a lot more clear as things flip. And then the Schumann thing, I guess there was some weird stuff going on. There's some big flares coming and stuff. And there's more stuff with the, still is moving the thing. More things with the flipping. Like, everything is building. Like, everything is definitely building. Like, we're at this point where something big is going to happen. And I don't know. Maybe it's going to be today. Maybe they are going to blast us through the phones. I have no idea. So I don't feel like I want to turn my phone off, because if it really... it is that they're not going to blast us and there really is all this information coming that we need to hear, then it's like, man, it's just that thing is like, you got to just trust, go with your gut, go with your instincts. And, and there will be probably places that they will blast and try and take out a whole village. I saw that footage of that they did it in Norway, or the Netherlands or something. It was creepy if you see that footage, because these people are out on a bridge and they are filming something, and then there's a blast and you can see it and hear it. And so then they're like, what the hell? And then birds start falling out of the sky, and then the people on the bridge start falling. And apparently, from what I've heard, is it was this whole village that they tested some bomb or something on this, and wiped it out or something. I don't know. And there's so much truth that is hidden. There's so much lies that is promoted. Like, it's hard to know, but that is the kind of shit that they do. So that is the kind of shit they do. So anyways, that is, just be ready for anything. I'll talk to you later. Bye.